Right, so for today's video, we are talking about some clothing company drama and some of the most blatant design stealing I think we've seen on this channel. Now, there's a couple of brands you need to be aware of here, the first one being Kissing Cowgirls with about 200,000 followers on TikTok. From what I can tell, looking at the website, they sell like vintage clothing, but also have their own brand as well. So like these hats, for example, that say Kissing Cowboys on them. Now, the second brand you need to be aware of is Brandy Melville. This is the website right here with some of the products that they sell. This one in particular might seem a little bit familiar now. Now, I actually wasn't aware of this brand before I heard about this situation. Now looking into the brand, I imagine there's probably a lot of people watching this video that already maybe have a pretty negative opinion on this brand. There was a HBO documentary that came out about Brandy Melville that goes into a lot of very concerning stuff, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. I've never actually seen the documentary. I don't believe it's even available in the UK. I tried having a look on like Apple TV and Prime, and it just says that it's not available in my country. But even before the situation we're talking about today, this is already a very controversial brand, but also a very big brand. They have a lot of stores worldwide, a lot more it seems in the US compared to other places. I mean, on the website they have store locations in the US. We can see all the states that they actually have stores in. They also do have 4 stores in the UK, all in London, and then also a bunch of countries in Europe, and then in Canada, Australia, and in Asia. So yeah, they have a lot of stores worldwide. It's a pretty big business, clearly. And for some reason, we have seen many different cases where big brands that really shouldn't have to do this, they have the money to come up with their own ideas, hire people that are going to be great for coming up with like logos and designs, whatever it is. But for some reason, it tends to be these massive brands that decide to copy these smaller brands. And now this has happened to Kissing Cowgirls, and they have recently posted a couple of videos talking about this.
Brandy Melville knocked off my small business and is selling this shirt with my logo on it. I'm like actually speechless because this logo, it's not like a font that I bought on Adobe. It's literally hand drawn. Me and my cousin designed it. She like drew out the letter.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it even more blatant, right? It's not just a font, it's actually a hand-drawn logo. And as we go through more information, you can tell it's not a coincidence. Like, they clearly knew exactly what they were doing because they copied 2 different aspects of the same brand.
This is the flyer that I made for, I think it was our first birthday party. Shameless.
Yeah, shameless indeed. And as you can see, they didn't only copy the logo, they also copied a design off a flyer and put it on a t-shirt. And by the way, this t-shirt is still available on the website currently. We can see it right here. This is the Kissing Cowboys logo with the design from the flyer. And we also find out later, they're making many different variations of this. So on the website, I can only see this t-shirt currently, but there's like different colors and whatnot in store. So a little side-by-side comparison, right? We have the t-shirt by Brandy Melville, and then we also have the flyer. I mean, there's no other way to say it other than it has clearly been copied, right? They've took the logo and even the design on this flyer. The only difference I can even see is that on the flyer, he's got like a pipe in his mouth, and then on the t-shirt, he doesn't. Now, I think the obvious thing to do here is take legal action, right? Hopefully, the design has been trademarked. You would like to think that. We don't really hear much detail about if it's been trademarked or not. So I'm not too sure about that. I mean, if not, this is a clear example of why you need to do that. Even if you think your company's too small to be copied, right? Like, these big companies will steal from anyone. We have seen that. And to be fair, this isn't exactly the smallest company, right? They've got about 200,000 followers on TikTok, right? So it's a well-known brand. A lot of people are aware of this brand. So yeah, you can see how they would have found this logo and thought, oh yeah, I'll take that. Now, in Kissing Cowgirls video, they go into detail about how big the store is and the fact that they've probably produced like thousands of these.
Livid because the shirt is ugly. Like, my brand is on something that's ugly and being literally mass produced. Like Brandy is like a huge retailer. They probably made tens and thousands of units of this shirt, and it's going to be fucking everywhere. So they weren't even trying to be like secretive about it. It's literally called the Kissing Cowboys tank. Like, my brand is Kissing Cowboys. This is our logo.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I first heard about this situation, I was confused as to like how blatant they're being with this copying, right? They're not even trying to hide it. Now finding out some other stuff about this company, it isn't as much of a shock. And yeah, like I said before, I just hope that a trademark has been filed here. And if it hasn't, I would love to know, like, if they did actually go ahead with filing a trademark now, could they take legal action after that? I'm not exactly sure like, how that would work, but I think it goes without saying the design is definitely being copied and legal action should be taken. And realistically, Kissing Cowgirls should be paid for the money that Brandy Melville have earned from this t-shirt.
I'm speechless. I'm actually kind of shaking. Anyways, if you want to support my brand instead of Brandy Melville, we sell hats and tank tops are coming and sweatshirts are coming, so It's crazy.
So yeah, as you can see, she ends the video by saying, like, if you want to support the brand, here's like the socials and the website. A lot of people in the comments are just asking stuff like, did you copyright the logo? We got other comments here saying intellectual property and you have proof, sue. We do have some people in the comments saying stuff like, if you don't have a trademark or registered company name, sadly there's not much you can do legally. To which there's a reply to this comment that says, if it's her own hand-drawn work, then she does have the right to it though. Copyright is implied upon creation, and registering it is one type of proof that it was created before the plagiarized work, but it's not the only valid form of proof. And then a bunch more comments saying stuff like, you can 100% go after them, something similar happened to me a couple of years ago with another big brand, you can at least get it pulled from their stocks and ask for money. So yeah, pretty much everyone is saying like, you need to take legal action here, and yes, like clearly she does. But of course, even though that is a possibility and should be done, right, because people shouldn't be allowed to do this, especially these massive companies, this is just like a shitty situation for Kissing Cowgirls, because you can imagine the stress that you would feel having to go through like the legal proceedings and whatnot. With Brandy Melville being a big company, they probably have a good chunk of money as well to hire some really good lawyers, so it would be an incredibly stressful situation. Now, of course, like I mentioned earlier, there's also different variations of this t-shirt being sold, and in the second video that Kissing Cowgirls uploaded talking about this, they actually showed some of them.
There's more. Someone just DM'd me this. And someone just DM'd me this.
Yeah, so different variations in colour, but also like the first t-shirt just had the logo name on it rather than like the flyer image that was on there. So there's a bunch of different variations that are being sold here. And in this video, you can see that she's just like clearly upset about this whole situation.
I can't believe this is happening. And tomorrow's my birthday. I'm gonna go cry. Okay.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, Brandy Melville has some very serious accusations against them, right? In fact, there was a whole HBO documentary, like I mentioned earlier. And just searching their name on TikTok comes up with loads of videos of people calling out the company. Also, a lot of people wondering, like, how this company is still running. Like, for example, there's this video here from Kira McKenzie, and this was actually uploaded quite a while ago, right? So this is 2023. So we can see this conversation's been happening for years. They're still doing shitty things like stealing designs from smaller companies. But let's actually just take a look through this video quickly.
I woke up thinking about Brandy Melville. Why has Brandy Melville not been canceled yet? It doesn't seem like it's necessarily a lack of trying. I mean, a simple Google search turns up dozens of these types of stories. But what I'm trying to place is why these sorts of stories and allegations have not necessarily stuck in a similar way that Victoria's Secrets have or Abercrombie.
Yeah, I mean, even going over to Brandy Melville's, like, social media accounts, they don't really get that many bad comments. Of course, there's the possibility that they're just being deleted, and that's why. But, like, if I hadn't heard about this current situation, because I hadn't heard of this documentary, again, I don't even think it's available in the UK, going over to Brandy Melville's, like, social media accounts, I wouldn't even know that there was anything controversial. At first glance, at least, you know, like just seeing their Instagram for the first time. Now, there's a bunch of theories in the comment section of this video coming up with ideas as to why, like, they seem to just carry on as if it's business as usual, right? And it doesn't seem to be that much backlash. I mean, there's a comment here saying, also the way they do no sort of advertising or marketing outside of their iPhone pics to Instagram and have kept the same content style and since 2013. And that is something I did notice, actually, when I saw their Instagram account. I didn't even realize it was the company's Instagram account, because it's just not a normal company's Instagram account. They're just kind of like normal Instagram pictures, and then they just like hashtag Brandy Melville and don't say anything along the lines of new t-shirt available at this price, shop now, or anything like that. Another comment here saying it's because no logos, owners aren't in spotlight, they just release pieces whenever, never verbally take a social stance, super neutral. And this is something I've seen as well, right? Apparently the CEO of the company isn't really well known. I guess since the HBO documentary, and I believe like an insider article came out, they put more spotlight on who the CEO apparently is. But for the most part, at least publicly, it's not really that well known of a thing. Usually if you Google a company and then put like CEO, you can see exactly who that is, right? Because they're very public about it. With Brandy Melville, it doesn't really seem to be the case. Now, this video carries on and goes through some of the accusations. We're actually going to read through an article in just a second.
For a brand that offers a literal one-size approach, has been accused of toxic work culture, racism, anti-Semitism, and so much more, why does it feel like it's business as usual? It's something about consistent waves of allegations in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023 made me think, how are these going away so quickly and not necessarily deeply affecting the brand as it relates to their performance, especially with a Gen Z consumer who is known for being more mindful about their shopping habits.
So yeah, like I've mentioned, there's a bunch of articles about Brandy Melville, right? Like there's an article here on The Guardian that says, "A very odd and ugly world view, the dark side of fast fashion brand Brandy Melville." And in this article, they go through some of the details of like the accusations, but also like these documentaries that have came out. So we'll take a look through here. It says, "Unlike most fashion brands, Brandy Melville has no public CEO, no mission statement or top-down brand persona. Every store is owned by a different shell company. The name is owned by a Swiss company. The company structure is designed to not be traceable," said owner. In her reporting, Taylor identified the CEO as an Italian man named Stefan Marson, a shadowy figure with almost no internet presence and precisely 2 Google image search results. "How do you run this business that's all around the world? There are over 100 stores, that is all over the internet, all over social media, and this guy's never done an interview. He doesn't exist. And that's very purposeful and crafted," said owner. Marson unsurprisingly designed to participate in the film. A former employee who has sued the company for wrongful termination says he was instructed to fire girls if they were too heavy or black. "If you're white, you have to be in sight," recalls one black employee relegated, as most people of colour were, to the stockroom. Another former employee in the New York flagship store recalls how Marson installed a button at the register which he would flash if he spotted a brandy girl checking out whom he wanted to hire and photographed. So yeah, you can see there's a bunch of accusations that have been made very, very public now, right? Like I said, bunch of articles, documentaries, the lot, and it seems like there's also just more and more stuff coming out, obviously, with these plagiarism allegations as well, copying a smaller brand. But none of this seems to have any effect, or at least at the time of this article here. I'm not sure what Brandy Melville's current revenue looks like, but according to this article here, it says, annual sales for Brandy Melville totaled $212 million in 2023, up from $169 million in 2019, according to Wall Street Journal. Which is pretty crazy when you bear in mind all the accusations, and we didn't even get a chance to go through all of them here, right? Because there's countless amounts, and again, I haven't seen the documentary. I really want to actually see it and see what is actually said in there. I'm going to try and figure out where it might be like a VPN or something. But after you see stuff like this, it becomes a lot less surprising that this current situation with copying the smaller brand is even happening in the first place, because we're dealing with a brand, by the looks of it, that just doesn't care. Now, what is going to happen with this current situation, I don't know. It feels like legal action should be taken, of course, but who knows what's going to happen there, because that could be very expensive. So who knows the route that Kissing Cowgirls want to go into? Who knows what's going to happen? But I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below on everything that we mentioned in today's video. What do you think should happen next with this current situation? Just all your thoughts, let me know in the comments. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you're interested in some other content, me and Emily have a channel where we react to reality shows, play games, all that stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, that will always be linked in the description. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.